What is going on, everyone? My name is John Fleischman. Welcome back to yet another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to add just a little bit of spice onto your portraits. And that effect that we're talking about today is called motion blur. And just to be clear, we're not talking about the kind of motion blur that's a shutter drag, when you have a really low shutter and your image looks like this. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a fake motion blur that you can add in Photoshop. You can add it to any image that you want. And I am going to show you how to do it. I'm going to make this as easy as possible for you guys. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to open Lightroom Classic, not just regular Lightroom because shit's whack. Okay, so I have my image here, and what I did with this is I just made some very basic adjustments. Once you have your basic adjustments done for whatever portrait you have, you're going to right click on the image in Lightroom and you're going to click edit in Adobe Photoshop. Okay, so now we have our image in Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is click Command J, and it's going to create a brand new layer for us. It's going to duplicate the layer. And then all I'm going to do is take the quick selection tool and I'm just going to mask me. So you just click and drag anytime you want to expand the mask, and then we can zoom in to make sure that everything is being picked up by the mask and nothing's going to get left out. And so this part here, I'm just going to hold down Option and click and drag, and that's going to take it away. Okay, that looks pretty good on that side. All right, now once you have your subject like this, what we're going to do is click Command J. And so what that's going to do, it's going to remove the background from your subject. And so now I'm going to hide the top layer that we just created. And I know some of you guys are thinking, well, what about the sides? It's not a perfect backdrop. You got shit in the way. Well, listen, Linda, I know we're gonna get rid of that stuff. So all we're gonna do is click this tool here, and we're gonna click and drag all the way down, and we're going to use this handy dandy thing called generative fill. So what we're going to do is click generate, and the magic of AI is going to fill this in. We want a clean background, and look at that, it's perfect. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to click and drag down until it reaches the end of our image there, and we're going to click generative fill. Okay, boom. Again, perfect. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this layer, hold down Shift, and select layer 1. And I'm going to right click and click Merge Layers. So now what we're going to do is turn on the motion blur effect. And how we do that is we're going to have this layer selected, go up to Filter, and then go down to Blur, and then move all the way down to Motion Blur. Click that. And so now our image is blurry, and we're like, oh, we don't want that. We want it to be behind our image. Well, just trust the process, okay? And so how we're going to do this is you can select the distance of how far you want it to blur. And if we bring it down to 1, there's not going to be any blur at all. But then the farther we bring this out, the farther it pushes, right? So I want mine to be about right there, kind of like I'm getting split into 2. And from here you can also change the direction in which you want it to split. I kind of like that. It's very subtle, but going off to the side here can be kind of cool. So okay, we're just gonna hit OK. And then we're gonna turn this layer back on. So I'm gonna duplicate this other layer here, click Command J. And I'm just going to kind of play with the scale of this just a little bit, just to kind of see how far we can push this. Let me zoom in here a little bit, and I'm going to select the top layer, duplicate that, so just in case I mess up I can just go right back to the top layer. But what I want to do is take the eraser tool and start kind of, let me bring this down a little bit so it's not as harsh. So I'm just going to change the size a little bit to what we want it to be, and then I'm just going to start to kind of brush away the edges so that way it's kind of like blending in with the blur. Making not such harsh lines in myself. Let me double check that. And see, we can also do a couple things like push it even further into myself by just kind of stamping around. And I have that top layer just to kind of double check to make sure I'm not going too crazy. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of stamp around and have myself quote unquote fade out. And it's because the layers below are the blurred section. So when I erase this one that's selected, it's revealing the blur behind the portrait. And I can go even further and use the liquify tool and kind of push the bottom layer around. So we're going to change the opacity back up just to kind of get that to reveal a little bit more, so the blur is a little bit more dramatic. Okay, and I think that's pretty good. So we're going to save that. And when you save it as a TIFF, you can jump back into Lightroom with it. And from there, I just make a bunch of little adjustments that don't really pertain to this effect. But, you know, when you bring it back into Lightroom, it's cool because all the sliders are reset back to 0. So you can go even further with your edit. All right, that's how you use motion blur with portraits. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notification, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.